Welcome back to Good Karma Wrestling, along with Brian Rowitz from ESPN West Palm. I'm Jonathan Hood from ESPN Chicago. You know, we can't wait for, Brian, is NXT. But NXT's been a standard on Tuesdays for a long time, but now moving to the CW network.
That's right. And going to some big spots, going to your neck of the woods in Chicago. The NXT continues to grow.
Someone that's always on point is Jaida Parker, part of the NXT family, and she joins us right here on Good Karma Wrestling. Jaida, it is Brian and Jonathan. Thanks so much for your time.
No problem. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
How's life right now?
Great. I'm on top of the world. I have to deal with fatal influence, but it's okay. They gonna get what's coming to them. But everything else has been falling into line, and I can't be more happy.
How do you put into words these last couple of years? You signed with the WWE August of 22. Now we're September of 24. You're on PLEs competing for the women's title. How is this moving so fast? What's it been like for you?
Fast. I'm gonna reiterate what you just said. It's been fast. It's been a roller coaster, but it's been a roller coaster that I really just don't want to get off of because I'm having the time of my life with it. I always tell everybody, like, I feel like a kid again. And that's what's so important to me because it makes me happy, And I can't thank the WWE staff enough because they've made this transition for me from the soccer field to the ring so much more easier. Like, they always help me, always coaching me. So it's been fun. It's been a mental and physical roller coaster, but we're going to keep going.
We've been watching your journey against fatal influence. Brian, I don't know if you've been watching this or not, but I think Jaida knows what she's doing with that bat. She's carrying around a baseball bat. Do you know? It looks like you know what you're doing. It looks like you've done this before.
Oh, yeah. I'm not a national champion in softball for no reason. You know what I'm saying? So they might not know that or they might have forgot, but it's in my blood. It's in my bones. So it's, what do they call it? Muscle memory. That's exactly what it is. Just put a bat in my hand and I know exactly what to do.
A soccer star, a softball star. How does that translate to pro wrestling?
Oh, softball wise, well, obviously the bat,
Okay.
But with soccer, it's the physicality, it's the stamina, it's being able to work with somebody, it's the communication, everything that I've done as a kid and as a young adult has been able to help me transition easy in this environment because it takes a lot out of you and it requires a lot, but Jaida Parker's a lot. So
yeah, I want to talk to you about the state of NXT. We talked about how NXT is now going to be in the CW network, which again, that's just another audience, a different audience to watch you perform. What would you say is the state of the company right now? Take us back behind the scenes of what it's like to go through the training and the support system that's there.
Oh, it is amazing. And this is my first time like being on national television like this, like on the USA Network. And I started on the USA Network, and for us to transition to the CW, it's just, I feel like another accomplishment for the company and for NXT. And I'm just excited to be on it because it's different eyes, you know what I'm saying? Like we're reaching a different type of audience, and hopefully the ones that stayed on the USA Network transition over to the CW so they don't miss a beat. So
when it comes to NXT, obviously a big part of that is Shawn Michaels. We had him on a few weeks ago. We fanboyed a little bit. What's it like for you day to day working alongside him and getting coaching from a legend like that?
Amazing. Amazing. I don't know what other word to say. It's life-changing. It makes you think in a whole different type of aspects. You know what I'm saying? Like I could say one thing in my point of view, but from his point of view, he sees it in a whole different way. And it's just not him. It's all the coaches over there because all of them are legends. So of course I'm gonna keep my mouth shut and have my ears open. Like I have 2 eyes and 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. And I always tell people that because I love learning from them and just it's so much fun. Like I always bring it back. I'm like a kid again, and I love learning from other people, especially legends. So yes, I love being where I'm at. And with them, I give them all the praise in the world because they're legends for a reason.
Yeah, Jaida, speaking of legends, there's a family member that you have in Jason Caffey, who was a legend. If he came to Chicago, he wouldn't have to pay for a meal. He could actually be the second legend coming to Chicago, in which once you become champion and you have your legacy, that again, it'll be a second Caffey that would pay for a meal in the city. So tell us about what's going on with Jason right now, because me as a Bulls fan and Chicago remembers Jason Caffey.
He, from what I've heard, because I've met him maybe when I was younger. I don't have the best memory with that, But from what my dad tells me, like, he is just an amazing person. He was on that stage for a reason. He played on the Bulls for a reason. He is a legend for a reason. So I'm like, okay, well, if you want to be a legend, let me see how legendary I can be real quick. So it being and seeing him on that stage that he created for himself and got the opportunity to do, it makes me want to see how much further I can go. Because that's how I am with my family. Like, okay, you did that. That's going to fuel me to make that next step and be like, I got the torch now. I got you. So
sticking with your family down here in Palm Beach County, Treasure Coast, your father, Tim Caffey, the head coach of Jensen Beach football. Hood, you would enjoy Jensen Beach football. They're Midwest football. They're going to play defense. They're going to run the rock and pound the rock. So your dad's a little hard-nosed when you tell your parents, hey, I've done this soccer thing for so long, but I'm going to go do wrestling now. What's that conversation like?
When I told them, they were like, there's no way. There's no way. They're like, what? They knew, like, I'm an aggressive. I grew up aggressive. I grew up with my brother. Like, I didn't grow up as a little girl. Like, I was treated like a boy. So it's either you hit or you get hit, you know? So my dad was like, okay. It's just another thing. He's like, I can see it though, because I am an aggressive person. And this atmosphere and this environment just brings it out of me in the best way possible. And I love every second of it. My parents, they're so happy for me, but they'll tell people all the time, like, no, she's not playing a character. Like, that is her. Like, you have to know her to understand, like, that is her. She's not playing nobody. That's just her. And I'm just happy they get to come along with this journey with me.
Jada, along your journey, there had to be somebody within WWE that said, yeah, I think you have it. You got it. Who's that person that told you, like, yeah, you could do this for a living and be very successful at this?
My first coach, his name is Norman Smiley. I will always put him over. He saw something in me that I didn't see in myself when I first got here, because I'm around people who have been in this company and have been in wrestling for years. And for me, like, I'm a small fish in a big pond. You know what I'm saying? So I have to adapt to them. But when I first got here, he's like, keep doing what you're doing. Like, you have a dog in you, you know, and all the coaches say that they see something in me that I'm just now seeing in myself. And I appreciate all of them for doing that, because if not, I wouldn't have the confidence that I have. Because now I'm like, oh, hell yeah, I can run through that brick wall, no doubt. And I'm gonna be okay about it, you know, but it's all of them. And Norman was probably the first one, because I started out with him.
Yeah,
And I appreciate him.
I want you to know, like, kind guy, you know, did some comedy wrestling, but let me just tell you, Norman Smiley is a dog. He is a shooter.
Oh yeah.
Careful. Don't
Oh yeah.
Don't let the smooth taste fool you. Norman Smiley is a shooter. He'll
I know.
You. Yes.
I know. I'm like, that's why you are who you are, and I can't say nothing about it. That's why you're my coach, or were my coach. You know, I loved it every second.
What's been the biggest sort of misconception you had going into the wrestling world that now you realize, like, why did I ever think that? Or like, this wasn't that easy, or things like that?
The biggest misconception that everybody has is like, oh, it's not real. It's scripted, this, that. Okay, well, why don't you take 2 seconds out of your day, maybe even 2 hours out of your day, and you go take a bump. You throw yourself on the floor and you tell me how your body feels after 2 minutes. That's all, you know? And I'm just like, I'm not used to being on the floor. I'm used to putting people on the floor, on the field, you know? So I'm not used to like getting hit like that. I'm like, oh, okay, that's what whiplash feels like when I do it to myself, you know? So that's where I'm like, this is very real. The bruises, the cuts, the blood, all of it is very real, but it makes it so realistic that people feed into it, because they're like, oh, it's a story. We're all telling a story, but if I can get you in and like invest it, oh, I did my job. It's easy from there. So that's the only part, but I love it. I do love it.
NXT is going to be on the CW starting October 1st, and it will emanate from the Allstate Arena in Chicago. CM Punk is going to be there as well. Tell us about some of those veterans that have been behind the scenes, kind of encouraging this group of NXT superstars.
They're amazing. And I have to start with the women that come down from main roster. Michin in general, she a wonderful woman, even though we butt heads a little bit, but she is a wonderful woman. Natalya, oh my goodness, a legend. She always has an open mind, open heart, and everything. She's so genuine. Shayna Baszler, they all come down. Chelsea Green, and no matter what it is, they're so willing to help us. As long as we're willing to listen, they're always willing to give us knowledge. And Just last night, CM Punk. I know I've seen a lot of them come around, and they're just so willing just to sit there and have a conversation with you about getting you better, because they've done their time, and they're there for a reason. They are legends for a reason. They're just always open to coaching us, and I love that about all the vets that come down here. There's not been one vet that is like, I ain't got the time for you, unless they're like about to go do something. I know my spot, I know my place, but all of them that come down from main roster, even the ones that are retired, I respect the hell out of them because they're still willing to teach us coming up, and I respect the hell out of that.
So on that, I mean, it seems obvious a legend comes down there, you want to listen, you want to learn from them. Not everyone has that mindset. How do you get to that point to be like, yeah, I want to listen to these guys and girls?
I've always been like that from when I was younger. I'm a very observant person, but when something has my interest, like wrestling has my undivided attention and interest, I want to dial in on it because I want to get better. I see that you got to that platform and I'm like, hell yeah, I can do that. I know for a fact I can do that because if I couldn't, I wouldn't be here. So that I've always had that mindset, and I thank God for giving me that mindset, because if not, I wouldn't be here at all.
Brian, if you don't mind, I do have to ask a personal question to Jaida Parker.
Okay.
Right over her right shoulder, she has a picture of Lauryn Hill. I will ask you: is that part of your motivation music when you're working out? Is a Lauryn Hill on?
Oh, all the time. Probably not when I'm working out, because when I do work out, I don't listen to music. I listen to podcasts and like motivational and inspirational videos, like Eric Thomas. Oh, that man can get me to run through any type of wall. Just give me 5 minutes listening to him. Oh yeah, it's up. But Lauryn Hill, she actually helps me write. I love writing poetry. She just helps me open my mind, and it's just, she chills me, So any off day, oh, she's on all the time. Her, J. Cole, Kanye, all of them.
Okay. Well, can we interest you in the podcast?
Yeah, we got one for you.
You got one right here. For wrestling, that seems like a good one.
I got you.
I saw you mention recently talking about dream opponents. One of them you mentioned Jade Cargill, which would be a 7-7-2 battle, Jensen Beach versus Vero Beach. What would it mean to share a ring with Jade Cargill?
Well, that it's like a milestone for me, if I put that in the right word, but that would be a milestone because I see where she came from, and I'm like, oh, you was just down the road, and I see the star that she created herself to be, and I can't do nothing but respect that. When she came down to the PC, she's so willing to learn. She's hungry, and that made the hunger in me grow, because I'm like, oh yeah, let's go. I may not be a work of art that she is right now, because she's like an action figure, but I want to be able to get there and to stand across from her and be like, oh, I made it. I did it. Her, Bianca, Natalia, all of them. But she's number one for me right now.
I think anytime that we're in this business of entertainment, you have to have goals. What is your wildest dream in wrestling? The thing that you want to accomplish the most?
The thing that I want to accomplish the most, and I say this all the time, I want to have my name in any room before I even step in it. At all. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to ever step in the room and be like, oh, who is that? I want to step in the room and be like, oh, that's Jaida Parker. You don't mess with that one. You don't piss her off because she don't play about that, and I really don't. And that's one of my biggest things, is to always have my presence felt in the room before I even step in it. So that's what I want to do.
You talk about knowing your name. You've had a few of those viral moments on social media where people are like, who's this Jaida Parker? Like, what's this wrestling thing? Right. How do you take in those moments when you see things going off like that?
I love it because I'm like, okay, they're wondering like who I am, but it also motivates me to be like, oh, you don't know who I am? Well, you about to find out. I just want to make them know who the hell Jaida Parker is, because she ain't going nowhere anytime soon. So
that crowd is just amazing. It's a smart crowd, and they root for everybody. I mean, and that's not across the board, Jaida, as you well know. If you just put on any other wrestling show, it's not like the crowd is behind you because they have selected favorites, and that's how we are as fans. But what's that crowd do for you? Because they root and support everybody. They're loud for everybody.
Oh yeah. It's like an adrenaline rush. And I told them one time, like, they started cheering for me. I'm like, y'all supposed to be booing me, so it makes me want to beat their ass even. Oh, sorry. It makes me want to beat them like even more, And I'm just like, all right, y'all gonna boo at something. Like, and when I get it, I'm like, there you go. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. But it ignites a fire in me, like at No Mercy. When I heard the chants like Roxanne and they started saying Jaida Parker, I was like, oh no, they I got my people. They know what's going on, and it gave me that second win to be like, no, let's do this. I'm trying to win this, you know. So I do appreciate the crowd. I really do.
You mentioned that Roxanne match. That was one of our matches of the week. That one hell of a match. You know, also the debut of Julia that night. As this locker room continues to add talent, how fun is that for you?
Amazing, because I'm like, who else I gotta beat? You know, like I beat the people in the locker room. It's just another person that I gotta either step over or they get out my way. But they can also make me better at the end of the day because they're here for a reason, just like I am. So to me, if I'm not learning something new every day, I did something wrong. And I can always learn from them. So.
In other sports that you've been in, obviously there's always film. Is that the same thing for you in wrestling? Like Julia comes in internationally from Japan. She's wrestled out of different places. Is your film work where you take a look at your opponents beforehand?
Oh, that's how I do because I've always been like that. I've always watched film in soccer, even softball, you know, like wrestling, you have to watch film. And it's not even just that specific wrestler. It's like, oh, what can I see? What did they do different that I can incorporate in my world? You know? And it's just when I do watch film, it's not to see what they're doing. It's like, how can Julia fit in Jaida Parker's world? How can Jaida Parker fit in Julia's world? And how can we make that mesh to make a banger like me and Roxanne did, you know? So that's the only part.
That you did. Going to Chicago, going to St. Louis, making the move to the CW, the NXT continues to grow. What's been the biggest thing as you're watching film and watching yourself that you've noticed a difference, even from a year ago in your game? We're like, oh, look, I can do that now.
My confidence.
Okay.
My confidence, and I've always talked trash, no matter what. I get that from my family. But I can see my confidence from my very first match to the one I just had with Roxanne. It is like night and day. And I'm like, this is why I'm in this business, because it helps me grow as a person, as Tiana and as Jaida. But I've noticed the confidence. I've learned that I'm a lot more comfortable in doing what I'm doing because I wasn't one for like the spotlight, you know? But when I'm in the ring, the spotlight is all on me. And I was not used to that because I played soccer for so long. It was on 11 of us, you know? It wasn't just on, oh, what is Tiana doing? No, this is like Jaida. What is Jaida doing? And it's me versus her, and may the best man win. So that's what I've noticed in the past year.
Always on point. Jaida Parker, NXT will move to CW on October 1st, and the first show will be in Chicago. The following week will be in St. Louis. So big test for NXT in the Midwest. Jaida, I'm glad you spent some time on Good Karma Wrestling. We'll be rooting for you.
Thank you.
Keep that bat handy. You're going to need it.
I got you. I got you.